Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Jamz with Joe, Shak and Sam, where we exchange the songs we've been listening to the most this week, and then we chat about them. So, as always, let's jam.
My song this week was Shock Me by Baroness off their 2015 album Purple. All of their albums are named after colours, which I think is pretty cool. And Purple was their first album following the dual release of Green and Yellow. And when they were touring for those albums, there was a massive tour bus accident and people almost died and stuff. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the themes on Purple were influenced by that kind of peril and how they've come back to form since then.
So in the intro, I liked how the watery guitar was subtly mixed in with the more kind of dominant synths. It created quite a pleasing sound. Not knowing who Baroness are, the intro made me feel as though I was in for some kind of synth rock or maybe post rock, just something altogether softer than the remainder of the track. However, around the 30-second mark, the track reveals its true colours and becomes altogether less interesting as it descends into this kind of serviceable off-brand mastodon. And we're talking the Hunter Once More Round the Sun mastodon. Now, I like the Hunter. I think it's a solid album. But my problem with this track is that I don't think Baroness do anything particularly noteworthy to differentiate themselves from the sound they've so clearly drawn influence from. And I think it's most noticeable in the production of the track, this kind of compressed brick wall style of production. And even then, I think that it sounds worse here. If I had to pick something that I thought was different or noteworthy, the inclusion of that kind of spacey sound, I'm not sure what instrument it comes from in the instrumental break, is novel, but it's nothing huge.
I think it's a keyboard. I think so.
But if I had to try and encapsulate this in some kind of metaphor, right, it'd be off-brand chewing gum. It'll start off fresh and sweet to the taste before quickly becoming stale, and then you're filled with this sense of wonderment as to why you didn't just go for the more reputable brand in the first place. Shock me, it did not.
That last line. Very, very poetic. Yeah, I like how you incorporated the title. That was a nice twist. Yeah, carrying on from what you said, I believe everyone in the world ever gets Mastodon vibes when they listen to Baroness. The first thing that hits me in the song, which gives me those vibes, is the kind of prominent rolling drums that seem to be kind of minimizing the use of the cymbals in the verses, giving it a more primal, earthy vibe. Something like you said on the Hunter specifically, Mastodon go for, especially. Well, I'll get onto that in a sec. Much like Mastodon, also we have that kind of embrace of the rock and roll vibe, the rock and roll aesthetic. Songs like Dry Bone Valley by Mastodon, we get this vibe which makes me feel like I'm kind of on the road on a tour bus. I definitely get that kind of imagery. A bit of a surprise, actually, because I think of Baroness as a more sludgy group. I'm not that familiar with them, though, but I'm sure they've done sludgy stuff before. I'm right about that, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how they started, as a more sludgy...
They are known as a pretty sludge metal band.
Yeah.
Sludge prog, much like Mastodon.
Yeah, I've heard bits of their earlier stuff, but again, like Mastodon, they kind of took a turn and started making this more rock and roll influence, Queens of the Stone Age influence kind of sound. I like the break for the fresh riff that occurs around the 240 mark. I quite like that riff. It's a nice riff, and it's a nice change from the main meat of the song. I really like the simple mirror image solo that happens. I am quite a sucker for simple solos over super complex solos. It has a very old school charm in its lack of complexity. Again, very much fitting into the throwback rock and roll vibe. I really like what I believe is a keyboard intro as well. I think my main problem with the song is the vocals. I think with the vocal lines in the verses, he would really benefit from a more versatile register. Take the line like, in the battle you only brought your shield. He of course wants to deliver the in the battle part in quite a raspy, striking, dramatic way. But when he delivers the you only brought your shield part, it doesn't get soft enough for me. It's like he can't remove the dramatic tone from his voice, even when he feels like he wants to, and it feels like it would complement the track if he were to do that. It's almost like he's kind of trapped in the kind of his own melodrama. So it became a bit irritating for me to listen to his vocals because he hasn't gone all out with the dramatic tone. You know, he hasn't gone for a kind of singular tone throughout. He's added this variation in his register, but it's just not enough. And kind of just leaves me wanting. And it's the same with the chorus and the way he delivers the chorus. And also just as a vocalist in general, I don't feel like he has much uniqueness. You know, drawing on from Drybone Valley and what's the drummer of Mastodon called who sings that song?
Brandaler.
Brandaler, yeah. Brandaler has a very, would I call it unique? Yeah, I think I'd say it's quite unique. And even if not him, the other members of Mastodon all have very unique voices. His might be the least unique, but it's still, I don't know. It's still, maybe it's just because I know Mastodon better, but there's definitely something tonally that resonates with me more and makes it more memorable for me when I listen to Brandaler sing than when I listen to someone like him sing.
Brandaler has a particularly amazing voice. Like,
yeah.
He's got like the catchiest voice in the world, I swear.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of like an inherent catchiness in the way he sings.
Whenever Mastodon try to do a banger like Bone Valley and Show Yourself and The Motherlode,
right, yeah.
It's always Brand leading the vocals.
Right, yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, and there's definitely with this guy, there's definitely a more generic streak. It definitely has that kind of could be any rock vocalist kind of feel. Other than that, I don't really have that much problem with the song. Most of it's pretty good. As I said earlier, my highlights, the solo, the little breakdown, the general drumming too, I quite like. The guitar keeps a pretty nice, pretty straightforward chord progression going. And there's some interesting blemishes with the keyboard piano. There's definitely a sensitivity in the instrumentation as well, which I appreciate in the kind of context of the genre. But I think both the vocalist and the vocal lines and melodies that have been written in general are just very uninspired and they're holding the song back. Sorry, John Baisley. Decent. I'd say it's decent. I wouldn't go any further than that in terms of the song in general.
That's more or less where I was at. I know it seemed like I was a bit scathing, I guess. But it's not that what's there is bad. I just don't think it's particularly remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly the vocals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can see where both of you are coming from, in that it is reminiscent of Mastodon and bands like that. I think Baroness on this song do this, you know, like how Mastodon sometimes try to be simple Mastodon.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
Like on songs like Motherlode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this song is like what I want from simple Mastodon. I really like just how it's not overly proggy but it does still have like the synthy and the slightly experimental bit at the beginning.
So are you saying that you prefer this to a lot of the simple Mastodon?
I prefer it to Show Yourself.
Right, okay.
And the Motherlode. And well, I don't know if I prefer it, but it's just like
it's on par, yeah. It's on that level.
It's
a good example.
I don't want to compare them too much to Mastodon because I don't feel like they are a copy. While they are clearly influenced, I feel like they're more energetic. Like I think the vocals are really like. I really like the energy and the intenseness of the vocals. I think he sounds sick. I really like the melodies in the verse in particular.
There's like some vocal harmony, isn't there? Like in
the
chorus
I think
or pre-chorus.
Yeah, I think one of the other members joins in.
which was nice.
I really like the lyrics as well. In the verses in particular. The battle lyrics, but I know it's not actually about a battle, I don't think. I think it's like metaphor.
It sounded more like an argument. So
Yeah.
someone was on the defense and someone was on the offense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although, like, when the theme of a battle suits that sound so well, that really high octane,
Right. Yeah.
like, and especially when the solo, well, like just before it goes all noodly and bow bow biddly, before it goes like that, and it's like really building. That sounds like such sick like battle music, without being too grandiose. It keeps its catchiness and simplicity.
Yeah.
It doesn't overdo anything, like which I feel like might be its downfall and its strength.
I'd say I don't think, just drawing on from what you said about them being Mastodon ripoffs, I don't think they rip off Mastodon because I don't think they've taken what's unique about Mastodon and just like kind of rehash that. It's more the case that they're using the same kind of musical base that Mastodon use in the sounds, I think, rather than
it applies to a lot of bands like High on Fire. They are another one of these bands that have that really kind of southern, really driving, pounding drums and hot guitars sound with the gruff vocal. Like you could it's like big hairy man music, like not Viking metal, but American Vikings almost.
Feels like biker music,
macho music. Yeah, I really liked it. I don't know. I liked the addition of the synth, and I don't think that was too Mastodon-y.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really good, catchy, simple take on what makes bands like Baroness, Mastodon, High on Fire, those sludge metal bands so great. So, and the lyrics, I wanted to know what other people thought about the lyrics, especially in the chorus and everything. I'm surprised Sam didn't go into more detail about the lyrics because that's usually what he does.
So the first verse where he's talking about this battle, which we've agreed is kind of metaphorical more than concrete.
Definitely seems that way.
Yeah. I mean, the lyrics were fine. I think like Shakeel, I just don't particularly think his vocal delivery of those lyrics was anything that particularly drew me in.
I really like it. I think his vocals sound like so genuine. Like I feel like I can hear the emotion. Like he sounds like he's frustrated with like this defensive person, and he feels like he's being forced to grab this blade and go after them.
Is this how you feel right now, Joe?
Yeah.
To me, there's like his vocals don't mirror the emotions properly for me. Like I said before, when he goes for when he's trying to take the edge off his vocals, because there's definitely points where he's clearly trying to take the edge off his vocals. He has this kind of inherent dramaticness, and it loses, and he kind of loses ability to bring it down a peg, I feel. But it's still not going for a singular tone, because it's just clearly not. He's clearly changing it up a bit. I just feel like the desired effect isn't being hit.
I feel like this song might be a bit better if it was a power metal track. If you just went full grandiose. Because if you're going to talk about this kind of like battle and then like this calamity from a dream or whatever, that sounds pretty big, and I don't think the song particularly delivers on that spectacle.
But I feel like it isn't trying to be really epic. I mean, like, I know it's got that battle thing about it, but I feel like it's meant to be kind of like relatable in a way as well. Like,
I feel like that might be the problem
I
then,
dunno.
because there's too much epicness in his voice. There's too much of that kind of melodramatic tone when he sings. But it feels
I
like
agree.
I feel like, like compare it to something like Dry Bone Valley and Brandala. There's very much a more chilled out tone in his voice. A lot less of a rasp, less of a, doesn't soar at all the way Brandala sings.
I know what you mean, but like, it feels. There's something about his voice that I like, despite it not being as like perhaps unique and instantly ear catching
Mm-hmm.
when put next to Brandala's.
Fairs.
It feels like
I think it's just one of those where we're just not. It's just a disagreement.
yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it's like this. It's a weird point to try and make what I'm trying to say.
It's probably just a kind of unique relationship between you and the vocals that.
Maybe. I feel like there's a certain like humanity to his voice, like a certain humbleness.
Right.
Like, but like that doesn't sum it up very well. But that's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Like it sounds kind of. I kind of like that it isn't this like perfect voice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it goes with the song and the feel and the vibe and the emotion of this character that he is in this story of the song.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it might just strike a particular chord with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Also, shout outs to Baroness's album art. They're like the kings of having like the best fucking album
They have
art.
amazing
Yeah,
album
that's
art,
really
yeah.
nice, yeah.
Same artist, I think, that does the Kvelertak
Right.
album covers.
Yeah.
It's that really detailed, botanical looking,
Yeah.
anatomical drawing style.
Mhm.
It's
It's really
really cool.
interesting because I feel like if you took that style and you did something else with it, it could feel a bit like over the top and overdone. But the way it kind of like, especially like the way it homogenizes in the color, obviously to go with the album name,
Yeah.
just really nice and really cool. Shout outs to the artist. My track is a song called Like a Pen by the Swedish electronic pop duo The Knife. The singer being Fever Ray, who went on to have a acclaimed and popular solo career. But this was her original thing.
I have listened to The Knife before,
Mm-hmm.
although like I haven't done like a proper listen through their catalog. Like I first became aware of them via Heartbeats, which Jose Gonzalez famously covered. His version was like infinitely more popular because it was used in like a Sony advert.
Right.
Back in the day. That was like early 2000s, I think.
Right.
Amazing cover, like incredible cover, which is what eventually led me to find the Knife's version, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fever Ray as well, incredible album.
Yeah, agreed.
And I also really liked the Knife's Shaking the Habitual in 2013.
Right, okay.
I really liked that album. And I really liked this song.
Good.
I really enjoyed it. I like the drippy percussion. It sounds like really tactile and like physical, like really clicky and nice. Like the beat's really playful, and when the synth comes in, it's really like trancy and danceable. And then I don't want to call her Fever Ray because, like, I know that's her solo name, but like, her name's Corinne
Yeah.
Anderson. Fever Ray, Corinne Anderson. She sounds amazing as always.
Mm-hmm.
Her style of singing, I feel like, is forever kind of comparable to Björk. They're both like eccentric Scandinavian female vocals with a similar kind of just tone, range, just feel.
Yeah, no, definitely, I can see that.
Yeah, I like after the first chorus, I think it is. So it's like this like muted, like muffled synth that kind of winds around and sounds really mysterious. And the vocals that when she sings like "Hold My Breath and Count to 3" and like something about 500 degrees or something and stuff like that, she sounds amazing. Then I really enjoy the melodies in like whether it be the really ghostly, not haunting but playful and like catchy synths, or there's like a jingling tambourine and stuff, and the vocals have this really nice catchy melody to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then past that bit, like when the vocals stop, it goes into like this instrumental outro as it eventually winds down, and the playful synth and the beat kind of fall away, and it becomes kind of calming towards the outro. It becomes not, I don't want to say ambient, but like it becomes like it goes back to just that tactile beat and like some like muffled synths and fades out nicely. Yeah, I don't know. I will definitely be coming back to this song.
It's a good album. I don't think it's, for me personally, I like the album, but it's not on the same level as Fever Ray, which is just, as you said, incredible. Like,
it's a ridiculous album, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the song, but having only listened to certain tracks like Shake, the album of Shaking the Habitual, and certain other songs like Colouring of Pigeons, like I was expecting it to be way more experimental.
Yeah. See, I think they went more experimental later on. I actually think it didn't go down as well as when they were less experimental.
Yeah, maybe not.
With the critics and stuff.
It wasn't what I was expecting, even though I am aware that they do like dancey, catchy stuff like Heartbeats. But taking it for what it is, the Knife doing something relatively simple and danceable and fun, like, is like spot on for what I want. Like,
yeah,
it's really good.
Nice.
Song of the week for me.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
I think danceable and fun is the best two words that can really kind of sum up the vibes that you'd get from this track. I think I've heard of the Knife before, though where, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I've mentioned them in previous episodes.
Possibly.
When talking, wait, who? I've said someone was influenced by the Knife.
So, like Joe, I love the bass, B-A-S-E, of this track's beat, the kind of electronic water droplet sound.
Yep.
Just sounds fantastic, man. Particularly when it's isolated. Like, it's isolated in the intro, and then there's like a brief bridge later on. And it's easily my favourite part of the, like, beat. That percussive element aside, there is a lot to like about this track. So first and foremost, it is, as Joe said, extremely danceable.
Yeah.
One thing I liked about the use of the BASS in this track is how it wasn't used as like the single most pronounced element of the beat, as like a lot of more modern electronic music can be prone to, and it's instead used as like a complement to these distinctly European techno-sounding synths, which also sound great. I also like the spooky-sounding keys that would occasionally pop in over the track. But the thing that surprised me most is how much I was drawn to and enjoyed Fever Ray's vocals. Like, I've never as far as I know, I've never listened to anything from Fever Ray in the past because I can't.
Have
remember.
Have you watched any Vikings before?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Wait, have you watched Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
If I Had a Heart was in that.
Oh, okay, right. I also had, as Joe mentioned, and I'm glad that he mentioned it because now I feel more confident in saying it, that she did sound reminiscent of Bjork, which is definitely a compliment.
Yeah. One of the things I really love about Fever Ray, Carrion, and Bjork, and what builds off of what you both said, is that they both have this super Scandinavian authenticity in their voice. Like, they haven't Americanized their voice at all. Yeah. Which obviously a lot of singers who have fat accents, they kind of just learn to sing in an American or an English kind of way, but they just like fully embrace that kind of Scandinavian aspect. And obviously it's just completely worked to their benefit because it's made them both kind of, obviously Bjork being a bit more legendary, but they're both kind of like, legendary singers.
Yeah, it helps to differentiate their vocal style, and like that style combined with the effects that have been placed on her voice just continue to exemplify this kind of warped delivery, which just sounds sick in the context of this like really electronic landscape.
There's something really Scandinavian about both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I mean. They fully embrace the accent. Like it's almost like they're singing in broken English. Obviously, it's not really broken English, but it's almost like they're not kind of they just don't care about. It
They're
feels
fully
like they're just
embracing their accents.
Yeah, they just don't care about trying to sound palatable. They're just singing how they would naturally sing.
I feel like a lot of we talked about this when we talked about the black metal, but the black metal Ulva, like the Norse relationship with nature and everything. On the album Fever Ray and on loads of Bjork stuff, like there's something really organic sounding about their voices and in their lyrics and the instrumentals.
Right, yeah, I think Fever Ray's Fever Ray album, that I there's very few things that sound as organic as that album. Like there's so much natural nature influences and sounds and feelings and in that album. It really is just like an incredible, unique experience.
Yeah. And we all know that is like right up Bjork's street.
Yeah.
That is like the exact kind of thing she's tried to do like a billion times.
Yeah. And like, this may be controversial, but I think that Fever Ray like achieved it better than any of Bjork, because Bjork, she has done it, but she does it in, she definitely goes for, I don't think she's ever been as close to her roots as Fever Ray's Fever Ray album was in terms of the Scandinavian sound. Like something sounds really Scandinavian about Fever Ray's album.
It's a really barren, bare sound, whereas Bjork tends to mix it up and be like super experimental by by design.
Yeah, like
that's what she does. She just goes hard, like on whatever the concept or the feel is for the album. Like Medulla, like let's just double down and make it entirely organic. Like it's all voice sounds.
Yeah, like Bjork, Bjork's definitely more experimental overall, but in terms of being very much rooted in that kind of Norse sound, I think Fever Ray is the closest with that Fever Ray album.
Yeah, it sounds like it was recorded in like a cave or something. Like
forest or something. Yeah, for
like
sure.
Concrete walls and shit like that. It's just nice. And actually, wait. Before, you know what you said about they didn't try to like change their accents at all. They didn't try to sound American or English.
Yeah.
That immediately brought to mind Volbeat.
Right.
Because they're Danish.
Oh, is it Danish?
They're Danish, and he sounds like he's trying to sound so American.
Right. Yeah.
Because they go for that whole rockabilly Elvis sound. Like I guess that's the whole point, is that it sounds really American.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is the absolute polar opposite.
Yeah.
Of what Bjork and Fever Ray do.
just to kind of echo what you two said, I also really love the kind of drop sounds in the intro, and I love how they evolve. You know, they start very bare, then they start getting warped, and then eventually they develop into the kind of central percussion of the song. I think that's really cool. I get interesting throwback vibes to the kind of disco scene with the main keyboard melody in the song. Obviously, as you've said, it's extremely danceable. But I'd say a major interesting difference between the kind of typical disco vibe is that it's kind of a lot more hard hitting. The keyboard sounds are quite harsh. Each sound doesn't really flow and collapse into one another, but they kind of stop and start in very cut and dry ways. And I think it gives a feel of immediacy and also of harshness in the main keyboard lick. So I don't think it could really be described as a chilled out song, you know, even though it's quite danceable and quite accessible. Carrie and Fever Ray, yeah, her vocals are just incredible as always. Like her voice is just so unique. You know, I could rave about her vocals all day. I'm a massive fan of her vocals. With the, as I said before, with the Scandinavian authenticity, I love her use of effects on her voice. I mean, she fucks around with her voice in such impactful and complimentary and interesting ways. And the way she draws her notes out are really emotive. There's a kind of frosty pain there that I just don't hear elsewhere when she kind of draws out a word. I love the echoing, eerie synth that comes in after the first verse. It adds a kind of darker, more serious tone to the song, which really just loads it with more depth and makes it even more interesting, because on its surface enjoyment, obviously it's this very accessible, very charming song, but it's kind of layered in these creative ways with different emotions and different feelings put into it. Yeah, the chorus is a really nice mix-up for the vocals. Obviously, they're higher. The vocals are more fun, less melancholic. And I'm glad the chorus isn't overdone as well. It hasn't gone down the line of that traditional oversaturation of the chorus that a lot of like straight up contemporary dance pop songs will do. You know, where you'll hear the chorus like 7 times before the song ends or something. Everything feels quite fresh and quite sparingly used in terms of the vocal lines and the verses and the choruses. And then you have that kind of just electronic soundscape that rises and falls and grows in volumes and quiets and transforms in these cool ways through the last couple minutes of the song to take you out. At risk of overanalyzing what is quite a straightforward song, I'll stop there. Love it. Love it. Love the track.
My track this week is Jeff Buckley's Forget Her. Grace, the album it's from, is one of those like big albums for me. Like many others, I discovered it through Buckley's cover of Hallelujah, and from then it's gone on to be one of my favourite albums. Forget Her, however, was not part of the album's original track list at the request of Buckley himself. And it's, well, without giving too much away, I think that's a shame, since I think it is one of the better tracks on the now revised album.
I've listened to Grace before. I've listened to the version with Forget Her. That was the version I listened to, I'm pretty sure. And I like the album. It's a good album. I don't love the album, but I think I'll be able to go into that because like, even though you say it was a song he didn't really want on there, it doesn't really feel like it's really in that different a mood to the rest of the album. You know, like you say, it feels like it pretty much fits.
It wasn't to do with, as far as I'm aware, with how it affected the mood of the album. It was more of like, personally, he just didn't want it on there because like, I don't know, he had some kind of personal stake in it or something.
Yeah, maybe he just wasn't that big a fan of it. Like maybe, I don't know. Yeah, the song definitely has this kind of feeling of window gazing. You know, I have the image of, you know, face pressed against the glass, falling rain, you know, reminiscing and lamenting, like the scene in Friends after Rachel sees Ross's list and they have that big fight. You know, splice that intro, splice that.
See the stone set in your eyes, see the thorn twist in your side. I'll wait.
I love the way the notes create this really sincere, sorrowful melody. It's a melody that really kind of emboldens the kind of breaking heart image. This is, when I say this, I'm talking about the guitar lick, specifically the guitar lick in the verse.
Mhm.
And the other thing I really love about this song is the big refrain. The climactic moment of the song is really great. You know, around the 340 mark, it brings out the best of kind of Jeff Buckley's undeniable vocal talents.
Mhm.
He lets loose, and it's a very nice change. You know, the instrumentation kind of the instrumentation kind of takes it up another level. The really nice kind of crescendo moment. I think what holds me back from loving this, and what holds me back from loving a lot of Jeff Buckley, and what holds me back from loving Grace, the album, which is of course a very acclaimed album, but it's just not something that personally chimes with me that hard, is this kind of very conservative approach to the songwriting, I feel. And I think this song is definitely a encapsulation of that. In the writing, it really doesn't feel like there's much flair. It feels like the melodies and progressions that can be safely counted on to successfully evoke this feeling of heartbreak. You know, they're kind of like the safe melodies, but nothing in the writing really adds a twist for me. There really isn't an insult I could direct at the song or any like serious con of the song. It's just the majority of it doesn't really pique my interest, really. The highlight really is his voice in that refrain part, that crescendo part, and the main guitar lick in the verse, but that's kind of about it. The instrumentation in the chorus feels very modest. The vocals throughout the verse and the chorus, for the most part, seem very moderate. It's effective, but only really effective to a kind of standard level. It's not super effective. Shout outs to Pokemon.
So you were kind of wishing that he'd taken a bit more influence from his dad.
It's kind of interesting when you compare him to his dad, because it's like, obviously his dad is way weirder. Like, he was like Avant folk king. I don't think he has to go as left field as Tim Buckley, but it does kind of feel like he's gone the other way from his dad, you know, who was famous for his experimentation with song structure and melodies and stuff. And I just feel like Jeff Buckley can be quite conservative, and it's funny because his voice is so not conservative in a sense. You know, his voice is very special. Obviously, it's a very iconic voice, and it deserves the praise it gets. But I suppose the way he uses it, and the confines that he puts around it through his songwriting, I'd say maybe I regularly get the feeling that he's not doing himself justice, or maybe he's not letting his voice get the support it deserves, maybe. But like I say, it's not that anything's bad. It's not that I dislike shit in the song, really. As I say, it's not that a water gun on the Charmander, bro. It's just not super effective. Needs you fucking fine whipping the Charmander, bro. This is sickmetaphors.com. Look me up.
You can use the coupon code JAMS
Yeah,
to get your sick metaphors at a discount price.
I'll send you a free condom.
Okay.
I agree with a lot of what Shakeel said, where like the summary that I wrote at the end of my notes is that it didn't blow my mind. Like, going into this song, I'm not massively familiar with Jeff Buckley. I've been meaning to listen to the album for like a million years. I just haven't got around to it because I've known about it for ages. I know it's really acclaimed. I know everyone loves it. I know it's probably right up my street, or I thought it was right up my street, because his cover of Hallelujah is just amazing.
It is, yeah. It's the best song on the album for me personally.
Like, I'm not surprised. Like, I feel like that's going to be my thought as well after hearing this song, because I feel like although his cover of Hallelujah is amazing, it doesn't say anything for his songwriting, because it's not his song. His delivery is amazing, but when I finally get to sample his songwriting on this song, I don't feel like it's that amazing. It doesn't compare to Leonard Cohen. It was sad. Like like right at the intro, the guitar kind of sounded like Nirvana in a kind of way.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of influence from alt rock throughout the album, for sure.
And then as the vocals come in, it gets really ballady, and it just sounds like a kind of cliche in that it's like lonely, bluesy feeling. Talking about a girl. He's talking about heartache. Like, it feels very melodramatic, but like he does it. He does the emotion justice. Like, I feel like he carries it well enough.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he didn't blow my mind. I don't know. I feel like the best bit of the song was, like you said, the big vocal climax when he comes back in, and he kind of gets like a little bit angry when he's I don't know, he's like looking back on like shit she did or whatever, and he sounds kind of angry about it, and his voice goes like kind of high. That's nice. There's like a little bit of a melancholy mini solo bit before that, which is decent as it kind of builds into the crescendo. But no, didn't wow me. I still want to listen to the album though. Like, it just makes me want to go and listen to Hallelujah, because I feel like he shines way harder on that song.
I would be interested to see what you think of some of the other songs which don't necessarily deal with this kind of relationship drama that can occur. Dream Brother was my other pick for this week, but yeah, if you're not so hot on this, check out the album, obviously.
Yeah, I definitely will check out the album.
Dream Brother in particular, I think, is more interesting if you're after something a bit more meaty in terms of songwriting.
Yeah, I just want something more interesting, because I feel like this is a song that's been done before, but better.
Mm-hmm. I really like.
Of course, it's been done a million times before. This kind of song.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
really
his was very notable.
I think it's So Real. I think that was my other,
really good. Yeah,
my other favorite on the album. Yeah, there's definitely some good tracks on there, and it's definitely a good album. It's just not one that I really, not one that I love. It's not one that I think is a great album personally for me. For a kind of similar reason for this song, I think. But I need to re-listen to it, to be honest. It's definitely been a while.
Yeah, I guess to wrap things up, like both of you, I thought Buckley's vocals were easily the best part of the track. And that kind of rule, I think, applies to basically all of the other tracks on Grace, that Buckley's vocal delivery is usually the highlight. Joe said that he felt like the relationship drama of this felt a bit melodramatic. I could see why someone would think that, but I feel like the melodrama is certainly played down in that I feel the lyrics paint this very well, the kind of back and forth someone will go through if like they were very heavily invested in a relationship or whatever, only to have it just like blow up. So like you have that kind of like, I need to find some way to forget her, and then immediately, oh, I think I've forgotten her. And of course that's like the first chorus, and then we continue to join him in lamenting and just kind of feeling sorry for himself. And I feel like that does minimize the melodrama, and his vocal delivery, as you said, and as Joe said, carries that particularly well. Like in the hands of a lesser vocalist, this might not have come across as genuine or as nearly as interesting. And like you both, I thought the best part of the track was that refrain from "Oh My Tears Fall Down" onwards, and the song picking up intensity and this big climax in just of this kind of emotional rush of getting it all out and saying how he actually feels. Like it was nice that it was more of a kind of rush to call this person out on what they'd done wrong, rather than just end it on this kind of like, I'm so sad, I'm so sorry for myself. It's like, no, he actually like, he just takes it. And
right, yeah. And I like what you say about getting it all out is a good way of putting it, because the song doesn't really feel like in a conventional way it's building up to a kind of crescendo moment. It just kind of happens, and I like that because it does kind of mirror the kind of emotions in a relationship. It's not kind of like, a relationship is a build up to this moment. It's kind of just like one day you just flip, or one day something just switches, and you
do have these volatile emotional explosions.
Right, exactly, yeah, and that's why it felt like a just kind of not semi out of the blue emotional just release. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel he sells the sorrow and conflict of this individual at odds with his love for this woman and his need to move on from her. As we said, it like builds up to this crescendo. I do like the slower parts. I do like this kind of element of this bluesy rhythm section, and in his vocal delivery of this kind of dour, just slow meditation on how just he's feeling. So again, just further capturing this atmosphere of struggle to move on. Like I said, I think it's one of the better tracks from Grace. It's a great album. Go check it out.
A must listen, even coming from someone who isn't the biggest fan of it. Thanks everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the songs, what did you think of them? What have you been listening to lately? Please let us know. If you want to check out the playlist, it contains all of the weekly selections since the first time we ever did this. And if you want to listen to the tracks that we discussed today, link to everything will be right in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to give us the big thumbs up. Make sure to share this video on your social media. And tune in next week for more jams. Thank you for listening.
I feel I've already come up with like an April Fool's like play on. We should do Sunday Hamz.
What?
Yeah. Sunday Hamz.
I don't
And
even
do
get
like
it.
these really hammy tracks. And just do stupid loads of ham puns.
That's the worst idea I've ever heard.
Nah, it's great. You come up
That
with
was-
something. Come on.
It's fucking awful.
That was my initial thought.
When does April 1st actually fall? A Saturday. Ah, even better. Do Saturday Hamz.
Wow.
That would be shit.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it?
No, it's not. The point is to be shit.
It's April Fools.
No one would find that funny. Everyone would just be like, they took a crap pun that's not relevant, and just like,
It's like the follow-on from your shit Batman joke.
it wouldn't even be like so unfunny. It's funny. It would just be weird.
I very much disagree. Anyway.
You're officially removed from the creative team, Sam.
Alright, I'll stop the recording and shit. I'm sorry.
Leave the new ideas to me and Joe. Just turn up and say your words and go.
Fuck you.